Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. The doors to the castle are opening. Mythic Plus is upon us. And now we climb even higher in Torghast. As the line from South Park goes, so what do we do now? Now, ladies and gentlemen, now we play the game. So I think the best way to think of the last 2 weeks has been like a tutorial. We've got a kind of little flavour, a little taste of the zones. We've laid the foundation with our covenants. We've seen a glimpse inside the dungeons. And of course, we've leveled and done all the good stuff that's that. So I thought in this video we would take a look at what we can expect coming this week. The biggest of all, I think, it's got to be the opening of Castle Nathria. Not only because many of us enjoy raiding, but because this will be our first look at the new powerhouse guilds fighting out for World First. I know some of you aren't interested in that, but this is going to be such an interesting race. Now granted, Mythic isn't out yet, but we still get to see what sort of comps are going to be running, what kind of hurdles we think the guilds are going to come up against, what is going to be that boss that separates the top guilds. And this is also an interesting tier, not only because it's obviously the first in Shadowlands, but because this is the first really in a long time that I can think of that we've kind of got more than a two-horse race. With the collapse of Method, and more importantly, in my opinion, the collapse of Gallywix, the field has never been more open. Guilds have seen what is possible if you push, if you can get to the very top. Literally, WoW can become your life. I mean, granted, in all honesty, if you're playing at that level, WoW is probably already your life. But in all seriousness, we're talking about actually making a living at World of Warcraft. We're talking about sponsorship, team contracts. And no matter how anybody sort of remembers Method and its sad collapse and rebirth, no one can take away from the fact that they opened the door for this to happen for everybody. Limit, of course, are the blatant front runners. They destroyed Ny'alotha in incredible fashion and left everybody else in the dirt. They created this player coach role along the way, which several top guilds are looking at potentially copying. But Limit have never been out in front. They've never been the expected victor. They've always been the peppy underdog. The weight of such responsibility can be heavy and the pressure can be severe. Pieces, of course, will be probably leading the charge from Europe, along with the former Method teammates, now flying under the banner of Echo. We also have Big Dumb Guild that has pulled together a crazy amount of talent. And I'm not even talking about the Raiders, I'm talking about the casting team they've put together to broadcast it. All in all, this is shaping up to be a really interesting race to World First. And that's kind of outside of the raid itself. The raid looks fantastic. I'm no Mythic Raider. I will do normal, then I'll go into Heroic. And raids for me, I remember the first time everybody would have this experience. I remember logging into World of Warcraft, and people will talk about stories where they saw the bridge leading into Stormwind or the entrance to Orgrimmar. For me, it was blatantly walking up that hill towards Ironforge, and it's the first time I felt small. It was a glimpse of how massive this world and this game was going to be. And that's kind of the way I want to feel whenever I go into a raid. This is a big, epic thing, and we are tiny cogs that are going to try and battle and overcome it. Ny'alotha to me was a letdown. In terms of the grandeur, the scale of what it could have been, this was the Black Empire, and I've talked about this before, so I'm not going to dwell on it too much, but I was kind of hoping for this nightmare landscape, maybe with us, first of all, starting out in the streets of the Black Empire, closed in, massive monolithic structures around us. We're battling masses of weaker enemies, but then as we climb higher, we go towards the centre of the city, towards the heart of this Black Empire. You know, there's fewer and fewer mobs, but they are more and more powerful. It gets harder and harder, and eventually, just this huge creature in the middle of this Black Empire, this massive sprawling city of darkness, was going to be N'Zoth. Instead, what we kind of got was we climbed inside N'Zoth's rectum, we punched his prostate. It's not really the epic encounter I was hoping for. Now granted, that may be part of my own expectations. You literally just hear me talk about how amazing and massive it could have been. When you build something up like that, it can be a letdown. You know, it's very hard to live up to that. But this time we're heading into the home of vampires. Proper old school gothic, castle, Castlevania, dungeon crawling, you know, Vlad von Carstein, Warhammer style. There's all the right ingredients there for me. And from what I've seen, it is the perfect setting for this raid. There's a lot of what makes a fight is the area it's located in. Before you even pull, it sets the scene for what you're going to face. And let's be honest, if you're going to pull a boss 200 times, you at least want the scenery to look good. But as I say, from what I've seen, I'm looking forward to the world first race, and I'm looking forward to what Castle Nathria has to show. Speaking of nice things to look at, eye level 226 gear is available from the Great Vault next week. So not this reset, but the next one. Once we've done our Mythic plus 14s and 15s, of course. Yes, the Great Chest will become available. For us mere mortals, probably more realistic, we're looking at eye level 200 and upwards for Mythic plus 2 and onwards. In the end of the dungeon chest, we start with 187 gear, and we're capping it out at 203 for a plus 10. Above that, doesn't matter how many you do, it's always going to be 203 gear that drops at the end of the dungeon. We also have a new affix in Prideful. As we defeat non-boss enemies inside the dungeon, we become full of pride. Eventually, this pride will manifest itself in a mob we have to kill. Once we kill it, it will greatly empower us. I'm looking forward to getting some M+ done. Like the raids, I don't know whether it's because it's new content and it's not BFA that I'm looking forward to it, but I'm really enjoying the dungeons, just having done them on normal, heroic, and a little bit on mythic. Really looking forward to getting in with some of the affixes, with this new prideful affix, and just seeing how everything's working together. I'm excited. And we will be covering all of this. We'll be covering M+, also the raiding when it becomes open EU, I think. The group I raid with, we're going in on Friday, so I'll do something around then, probably on Saturday. Expect more M+ and raiding coming soon. Now, we did touch upon it a second ago. Something else that is new that we haven't had a chance to play with yet, that I got to grab your hands on, is the Great Vault. Now, this is basically the new M+ chest, but it applies to all the good things that we now do. PvP, M+, and also raiding. You still only get one item. You're not suddenly going to get just absolutely covered and showered in gear. It's not going to happen. Doing more things in WoW would enable you to have more options in what you can pick. So that potentially there's always an upgrade that's available to you. So say you kill one raid boss and you do a full Mythic Plus next week. You have the option to pick one of 3 pieces of gear. So you get 1 piece of gear from the raid boss, 1 piece of gear for completing 1 Mythic dungeon, and finally you will have another piece of gear offered to you because you completed 4 Mythic dungeons. Now you still, as I say, you can only pick 1, but you have more options. So hopefully, there's always an upgrade available. Also, there was talk of a currency style system. So if none of those are an upgrade, none of them were good for you, you could potentially take the currency upgrade and use that instead. Still remains to be seen what exactly that's going to pan into now we're on live, but we have a better idea of that next week. Speaking of things that will also get interesting next week, although we get a little upgrade this week, is Torghast. Yes, floors 4, 5, and 6 are opening up. These are considered heroic floors. So for those of you moaning that it's all far too easy, hopefully you'll gain at least a small challenge. But for those of you struggling with Torghast, worry not. Blizzard have made the amount of soul ash you gain per floor diminish as you climb. So if you're only able to complete floor 1, then you're going to get 120 soul ash. But if you clear 6, well, you get 50 soul ash. Of course, it is beneficial to gain as much as you can because we want it for those glorious legendaries. But this way, you're not falling too far behind if you find yourself really struggling or, as some are, not actually enjoying Torghast that much. Which hopefully means less people will feel that they need to purchase boosts for Torghast. Something that even in week 1 I know is being advertised, sadly. Now, we still don't have access to the Twisting Corridors, which is supposedly the endless, I say that with air quotations, but sadly not endless because that got taken out, the endless climb that we're going to have. This version is basically 18 levels per floor, rather than the 6 we get with our standard wings, and you get purely cosmetic rewards from it. Kind of, because you also get one of the only mounts that is usable in the Maw. This is not available yet. This is locked behind a quest line. You free Jaina, then you're going to free Thrall, easy for me to say, and then you'll be basically required to go and get Anduin out of the Maw. Once you've done that, that's the quest chain complete. you'll get an achievement, and then you will unlock the Twisting Corridors. My guess is that's going to be the 15th. That's going to be the next reset on. But that should mean it's in perfect time for Christmas, so you can have really good fun trying to blast that. And yeah, get the Twisting Corridors, see how high you can climb over Christmas with your friends. Now, of course, we also have PvP that's opening up. I apologise, I won't go into that. I wouldn't even know where the vendors are. I just about know PvE, let alone PvP. Now, fingers crossed, those that are or have been frustrated by the lack of content in Shadowlands, you will now have a ton of things to do. Season 1 PvP, Season 1 of Mythic Plus, Castle Nathria, Normal, Heroic, Torghast, Heroic, Floors 4, 5 and 6. Plus we have 2 more Renown levels, taking us to 8. There is a lot to do. And granted, it's taken a little bit of time. It's taken a little bit of time to get going, as I said before, but the tutorial is now over, ladies and gentlemen. Now it's time for the end game to truly begin. But that is enough from me. Have a great reset, everybody. Have a great day, stay safe, and I will catch you all tomorrow. Have a good one.